There's been an interesting narrative that has come up recently, and I wanted to address it. Do the Toronto Maple Leafs have a problem with their fans? Does hockey have a problem with the fans?
I mean, it's just part of the game. I'm not focused on the fans. You know, I'm focused on our team.
There's a lot of negativity online. How do you avoid all of that when you've got a game to play?
Everyone's different.
Don't let anything outside of us frustrate us or get us, angry. Just got to do what we do.
A lot of noise on the outside, but I think just the belief in this group, in the room.
Let's not kid ourselves and pretend this is a Toronto-only problem. There are plenty of rabid fan bases in the NHL. Take Montreal, for example.
We're always excited to play in front of you, and thanks for the support all throughout the year.
You guys are truly the best fans in the league. Your support has been amazing, and we love playing in front of you each and every night.
You've won us a couple games just by how loud you are and the energy you bring to the team.
Okay, maybe that's a bad example, but not really. If you look at things critically, if you look at the sport as a whole, I think the NHL and hockey in general have very smart and or passionate fans, or just really loud and obnoxious fans. But is the noise ever truly loud enough to derail a team? Let's talk about it.
Yeah, we just had the belief,
So it's no secret the Toronto Maple Leafs blew a big one. Game 7 on the second round series. And there's a lot of people coming out of the woodworks with their 2 cents. Probably the same people that were afraid that Toronto was going to do something big this year. I know there was some scrutiny about Florida going around on a pity parade saying Toronto was different this year. They were a better team. It felt like a different series.
I said it before. I wasn't joking around. They're a different team this year. They're competing at a much different level. And
it's so much closer than you think, but you're going to kill these guys and they don't deserve it.
But as an outside observer, someone who doesn't follow the Leafs religiously, they were a different team. They were a lot stronger. I think a lot of that could be because of their coach, Craig Berube. He runs a no-nonsense locker room. And I'd love to be a fly on the wall, but part of me says that he had the guys on the hook right up until that Game 7 moment. Or maybe Game 5. Maybe Game 5, right? But a narrative that has been drawn up, and Brad Marchand exacerbated it.
the pressure that Toronto faces and everyone's talking about whatever the 20, 30-year build-up. I don't even know what it is, but you see the fans and the way they're talking, they just beat the pressure into this team, and it's got to be tough on those guys to walk to the rink every day and not feel that, because you see the way the fans treat them at the end. How do you not feel that every single day?
Is that Toronto has a fan problem. They would do a lot better in the event that the fans weren't yapping in their ear, chirping them, making big, bold gestures like throwing their jerseys onto the ice, burning jerseys on social media, and booing them excessively. Well, I don't like that narrative. Doesn't make sense. These are professional athletes. They've had way worse moments than somebody yelling boo. They're more concerned about keeping their head up so they don't bash their brains across the boards. These are like the 1% of the 1% athletes. They're going to try their best no matter what. Except when their game is not working or when there is a funk in the locker room. And that's what I think has happened to Toronto. Not just with this series, not just with this one, but this is going back. This is a string of events that go back a while. And at this point, I think it's one of the big guys, right? When Austin Matthews made that comment about passengers.
And then I just thought we had too many passengers throughout the rest of the game and just weren't on the same page. And
say what you will about whether or not he should have said something like that, it demonstrates that there's some sort of a rift going on within the team. I think Berube has dealt with this somewhat before, but as he revealed earlier today, he said that if there's pressure, then it should be pressure from inside the locker room, from the guys in the locker room. He also denied that the pressure was coming from the fans. So there we go. Problem solved, right? Case closed. But I wanted to come back on something, and this is going to be opinion piece at this point. But there definitely is an element to how the crowd reacts to the game that drives the momentum of the game. And I want to give the Toronto fans credit for that last game. They were completely behind the team in the first period. They dropped the puck. They were loud.
Matthews line against the Barkov line.
Toronto had like four really big opportunities in that first period.
Nylander up high, along the line, to the net, roll through, Nylander, oh,
it could have looked like a completely different game. It could have been 3-0 in the first period for Toronto if they would have got the bounces. Hockey is a funny game like that. That's hockey, baby. But as they start to fall apart in the second period, 1 goal goes in, 2 goals go in, 3 goals go in. Yeah, they start to lose them a little bit, but Toronto also gives up at that point. They're not doing themselves any favors. Max Domi gets the goal. The crowd starts to come back a little. Momentum shifts, and then Florida immediately gets another goal. If Florida doesn't get that goal, Toronto gets another goal. They're within 1. A 3-goal lead in hockey seems daunting, but really it isn't. You have to take it one step at a time, right? Find that first goal. Momentum. Catch them shocked on the second goal. Keep trying for that third goal if you have to. Maybe pull the goaltender, tie it up with seconds left. We've seen it a million times.
The Jets with an opportunity. Ehlers misfires, passes across the shot. They score! Can you believe it?
But that's the point I wanted to make. You have to find that grit. You have to find that ambition, that drive to come back when you're below. And maybe sometimes that does start with the fans. So are the fans the problem? No. Heck no. Can they be the solution? No. But they can help. Someone told an anecdote recently. I can't remember who it was. It might have been on like a podcast I listened to. Maybe it was Friedman or maybe it was Shelley. I can't remember where it came from.
And he said something along the lines of, I loved it because it did hold me accountable. I knew there were eyeballs on me every night. Like I would go to the rink and I'd feel like every little small play, every detail was going to be scrutinized. And I thrived in that. And I've played in places where you could have a bad game and nobody would notice. And I didn't feel like I played my best hockey.
And I think if there's certain individuals on the Toronto team that have problems with that, they would take those words as key advice to kind of move past whatever rut they're in. Or if the Toronto fans were really smart, what they would do is take Montreal's way of being critical of the team. Target one single player. It doesn't matter who it is. Maybe it's best that you target somebody that can take the pain. You know, God gives his toughest battles to his strongest soldiers. So find a guy that's on the team who's actually probably, decent and contributes a lot to the team. Maybe puts up big minutes, and be critical of that poor one guy over and over again when it's not necessarily his fault how a game was played out. That way, there's only one person on the team that feels really resentful of the fans. Pretty smart, huh? Who said Montreal doesn't have a smart fan base? That's going to do it for me, guys. Hope you enjoyed this fun little video I thought I'd do. Florida against Carolina, huh? 3-1 Florida going into the third period. Are they playing Carolina at home? What do you think? It's going to be Dallas and Florida in the finals this season? I was rooting for Toronto and Edmonton, but I don't know if Edmonton could beat Dallas. Let me know what you think in the comments. That's going to do it for me, guys. Thank you so much for watching. Hit that like button. It helps me with, something probably. Subscribe if you're not already subscribed. I would love to have you as part of this community. And as always, I will see you down in the comments.